Okay, in this video we are going to find the answer to the question, what did the prince do whenever he found a girl who might be Cinderella? This deals with recognizing sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. Remember, we have SOHCAHTOA. I like to write it like this: S O over H, C A over H, T O over A. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent opposite over adjacent. When we have a right triangle, the hypotenuse is always the first thing defined. It's got to be the side opposite the right angle. And then for cosine and sine, depending on where your reference angle is, like if your reference angle is there in the top vertex of this triangle, the adjacent side, other than the hypotenuse, is a side that you can touch. If you imagine that you were standing inside the triangle at that angle with your right hand facing into the triangle, you can actually touch this side. That makes this the adjacent side. And looking across the triangle, you have the opposite side. Now if we were at this bottom corner of the triangle, bottom vertex down here, now this becomes the adjacent side, because other than the hypotenuse, the side you can touch is this side here. That would be the adjacent side, and you're looking across the triangle at the opposite side. So your reference angle determines opposite versus adjacent, and the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. So I always find the hypotenuse first, rule it out, and then I just have to decide opposite or adjacent. So let's see what's going on with these. So use the table, find each answer, write the letter of the exercise above it. So there's nothing weird going on with this one, like with some of them with the directions. So let's see. So we want to find the tangent of 25. So the tangent of 25, we go over to the tangent column and we go down to 25 degrees. Tangent of 25 is 0.4663, and that goes with T. So we find 0.4663. And I don't see it. Let's look back up here again. I don't know what I was looking at. We're looking at sine of 25 degrees. So we go down to 25, and now we're looking in the sine column. The sine of 25 degrees is 4226. Now actually this is a complete sine table, or complete trig table, taken from a trigonometry book, stapled into the next page of your packet, which gives like in between degrees. So this sheet is primarily for practice in reading the table. But we have 0.4226 takes a T. Down here at the bottom, 4226 takes a T. Any other 4226s? No. Okay. So we got our first one. Tangent 35 is H. So 35, tangent column, last column over, 7002. So 7002 takes on an H. H goes there. E goes with cosine of 10. Here we have 10 degrees. Go across cosine column, 9848. And that goes with E. So 9848 goes with E. Make sure there's no other 9848s. Go back. Cosine 80 degrees is E. Cosine of 80 is E. So This is sine. Cosine 1736 goes with another E. 1736 goes with another E. Sine 70 goes with O. 70 degrees down O. 9, 3, 9, 7. Sine 70, 9, 3, 9, 7. And that goes with O. So O goes in here. And we have tan 45, tangent 45. This is actually one of our special angles. Remember, in a 45-45-90 triangle, we've got isosceles right. These are 45s. 1, 1, radical 2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent should give us 1, because we have, if this is the 45 we're talking about here, opposite 1 over adjacent, which is 1. So the tangent of 45 should be 1. And we see tangent of 45 is 1. And so that takes on an A. Here's 1 at the bottom, takes on an A. Okay, so now we're down inside these. They want us to use this figure at the right. And if the measure of angle A is 20 degrees, so it's telling us the measure of angle A is 20 degrees. We're looking at 20 degrees, and it's talking about A over C. So here's our angle. A is, here's the hypotenuse. Let me label it. The hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse, regardless of what your reference angle is. So if they're telling us A is 20 degrees, I'm going to just go ahead and mark this on this, then I'll erase it. Then A over C. Now A is opposite, C is hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So we're really looking for the sine of 20 degrees. Sine of 20 degrees is 0.3420. That takes on a W. So now at the bottom, we have a W. We switch colors over here a little bit. So we have a W. Let's look at here. Now if A over C again, we're talking about measure angle A still. A over C is still sine, and we need to find the angle that goes with 0.5736 in the sine column, which is 35 degrees. So the measure of angle A is 35 degrees when the ratio of opposite over adjacent is 0.5736. So we have 35 degrees. So 35 degrees takes on an O. Okay, for E, it says now the measure is 75 degrees. So now we have a 75 here for angle A. And it wants to know what B over C is. Now B over C, let's look in relation to A. Here's the hypotenuse. If we were standing at this angle A, we can actually touch this side, which is B. That's the adjacent side. And C is the hypotenuse. So we have adjacent with hypotenuse. Adjacent with hypotenuse is cosine. You know, SOHCAHTOA is how the ratios are going to go with the side lengths. So back to this one, measure angle A is 75 degrees, and it's talking about B over C. It's talking about cosine of 75. Cosine of 75 is 0.2588. So 0.2588 takes on an E. Now, we're talking about angle A as our reference angle again, and it's talking about B over C. So if you look at our triangle, let me get rid of this 75 here. We're still talking about angle A as our reference angle, and they're talking about B over C. B over C is still cosine. So we're looking for the angle that goes with cosine being 500 or 5 thousandths, being 5 10,000ths, I guess. And we have 30 degrees. So 30 degrees is the answer that goes with that one. So 30 degrees goes with an N. 30 degrees at the bottom. Don't see it. It's the first one. Let's go back up here and check and make sure. B over C. Measure angle A. B over C is 5. Oh, okay. Now look. Let's see what happened here. B over C is 5. That's cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. I looked down the sine column, but we need to look down the cosine column. That's actually 60 degrees. So 60 degrees goes with N. Okay, let's look up. If a measure angle A is 55, then A over B is equal to, now A over B as a ratio, A over B, and we're using still angle A. So if our reference angle is this, A is opposite, B is adjacent. We have opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent is a tangent. We're going to look down the tangent column. Down to 55 degrees, read over 1.4281. So 1.4281 takes on another E. And let's see, we've done most of these. We'll do one more of these. Let's see, where's a tricky one? Okay, let's look at W. Here they're switching it up. Now they're talking about angle B as being our reference angle. So what that does is, now if you're here at angle B, you're up here, then here's the hypotenuse. The side, if you're standing at angle B inside the triangle, the side you can touch is your adjacent side, and the side you're looking across at is your opposite side. So notice that A, you have opposite for A and adjacent for B, but if you're at B, you have adjacent for A and opposite for B. So they switch places. The hypotenuse always stays the same. So we're down here to the W. If A over C, so in relation to the B, the A is an adjacent, the B is an opposite. We have adjacent over opposite. Is that right? A over C. We got adjacent, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine. And we're looking down the cosine column until we find 0.8391. And I don't see it. Let's see. Let's rethink this one. I'm mixing the numbers up here. If A over C, now A over C again is cosine, but we're looking for 4226. So 4226 goes with 65 degrees. Sorry about that. So the measure of angle B is 65 degrees. So down at the bottom, we put a W where there's a 65. And right here. Okay, so I will leave the rest of these for you to complete.